Hello friends, welcome to the new video. Today I have decided to do a little bit different topic from traditional Invoking Demon series. It will be a little bit also maybe a little bit darker topic and a little bit sad topic, because as many of you know, we are currently in the situation when there was quite a big arousal about one disgusting type of person that affected our Luciferian and community, and occult community. I mean, in Mr. or even I don't want to call him Mr. I mean Daniel Hussein, who created a very tragic thing. He allegedly created a pact with a devil. He was 19 years old and it happened just this year. And in that pact with the devil, he decided to kill people so he will get the riches for that. He signed the pact with Lucifuge Rofocale and decided that if he will win lottery and if he will get riches and wealth, he will be killing women on the streets. He killed 2 innocent persons in UK and is currently in jail. Unfortunately, of course, this is causing a lot of negative impact on our community, because this is something totally different from what we normally do and how we speak with the spirits. So I have decided to create a little bit like video that is speaking about the topic of pacts with demons, and what is the history behind it, and how I think it is mostly approached by a huge majority of occult and magic community. So, as many of us, we would like to disassociate from these actions, because this is something tragic and this has nothing to do with our traditions. But yes, I will start maybe a little bit from start. Where do this idea of pacts, of these contracts with spirits, with demons come from? Why something like this even exists in the history? Where is the origin of these things? So it's quite old tradition. Yeah, there are 2 types of communication with spirits. Either it's done by initiation. So it means that you are someone like a priest of some type of god or deity, and you work with, in that time they were called not like demons, but with entities, with spirits, and you are initiated in the tradition either by deep self-study, meditation techniques, or you become part of some kind of magical order that has good tradition and teaches you these things. Or, yes, then exists this idea of creating a pact that you will just sign something, you will create some prey, and you will invest some small amount of money, or you will light candle, or you will offer something, and you will get immediate some kind of gift from the spirit, as if the spirit is just waiting for this kind of candle offering or something, or worse, as we have seen. So I would like to divide it in 2 parts. First is this deep initiation, something that we as magicians do. So it requires study, focus, and a lot of trainings and understanding of what spirits and deities are. The second thing is mostly done not as esoteric but exoteric things. It is done mostly by common people, masses that do not have understanding of this and just are victims of their own fears and cheap expectations. At every time in history, this creation of pacts on someone's behalf was a good business. In Egypt, it was a good business for the so-called charlatans and practitioners that did this kind of things, that for some amount of money, they will create some kind of letter that will enable the person to have the pact. It was since Egyptian times. There are historic documents, for example, in Greek Magicae Papyri, which is a collection of Greek occult documents. I will post it here, the link to the book, or at least the picture to the book. This book is full of prayers and occult rituals to ask, for example, Greek pantheon Hecate, for example, for some kind of help if they offer her some kind of animal, for example, yes, or candles, or blood, or any other types of things that were offered at that time. It was done mostly by the priesthood. Yeah, so if there and it was done in good way. So if the priest of Hecate decided to help a person, he was commissioned to do this ritual, and he put his magical energy and everything into it on someone's behalf. But it was not done like that, that someone just wanted to create a contract or some kind of... these things in these Greek magical papyri were mostly prayers. If we go a little bit further, yes, into the first grimoires, what were the first grimoires? They were mostly meant for public. They were not like secret esoteric documents or that were shared between the initiates. We do not have as many modern or medieval documents or grimoires, but we suppose that the first one, which was maybe even like recorded, is from the 11th century. It was called Gayat al-Hakim, and it received the Latin translation, and it's known Picatrix. Yes, these but the latest, the Picatrix, the first Latin translation is, I think, from the 14th century. So it's based on the Arabic tradition, but it was created in the 14th century. Later on, in around this 14th century, we have more documents. We have or grimoires that were shared between public, yeah, and later on, of course, like Liter Albert, you know, or Grimoirum Verum, for example, later on. In Grimoirum Verum, you can find a lot of sigils, the way how to connect demons with this really, from this Christian-like perspective, that we have to push demons to do our bidding, to just force them by the name of Christ, by the name of Jesus. We are going to ask Lucifuge, Rofocale to do it, and these rituals are done mostly from fear and from not understanding what these deities or spiritual beings really were. I would say that there are so many versions, for example, of Grimoirum Verum, Italian, French, and so on. And yes, in Grimoirum Verum you can find a chapter where even and also in Grand Grimoire of the Red Dragon, for example, there are parts of it where it is told to the sorcerer that he should, for example, offer blood of a woman or even like a human sacrifice. Why? It's not because it meant for the real thing, but it's done for it. They ask you to do so many I would say, sorry for my language, crazy things that is practically non-realistic to do that. It's a protection before the masses, because when someone would try to do it, he would be quickly discovered and he will be not part of the community. So even in these medieval grimoires, there is practically nothing mentioned about things that this Daniel Hussein make. Yeah, it's mostly these are prayers, like in the Greek papyri, magical papyri. So also in the future, future grimoires. It was always meant for the public. When we where this tradition of contracts or this kind of pacts, where it was mostly, it was mass produced later on, and it was mass produced because around 1400 there was a very clever man called Johannes Gutenberg that created or invited the printing press. The printing press enabled to mass produce all of these kind of books, documents that were previously created in written form. Around 1500, so 100 years later, these printing presses are becoming more and more common in big cities. Reformation starts and so on, but also at this time we have first mass-produced copies of these grimoires, like this is the new version, of course, Grand Grimoire of the Red Dragon or Black Hen, these rituals that was full of these simple magic tricks and spells for mass public, for people that couldn't maybe even read, and someone have to read it for them, and they got this idea. If someone sold them this kind of book for very cheap money, but they thought about it as a real black book containing real dark rituals, and there were spells like how to make your hands bring golden eggs, and so how could you become rich, how could you find a girl, how could you find a man, and it was always like that, like offer something, kill a hen. So there it starts. And also in these first books that were so popular at that time between people, but of course the church was strictly prohibiting them, and there are a lot of these process with the witches around Western world at that time. So it started around 15th century as the printing press started to publish books, and it culminated maybe in the 18th century. So they were very popular, these type of books, and in these books we can find the first ways or these communications, how to create a pact with some kind of demon. Yeah, so mostly these goetic or beings like that were like really made like devils in these books, like how to work with Lucifuge, Rofocale, how to ask Belial for help, how to sign this kind of contract, if you will sign the contract with your blood, and if you will do it in the middle of the night, and if you will offer your soul for this is also a little bit ridiculous idea to offer soul, because as you know, spirits are not interested in our souls. It is they are interested in our energy of focus and interest. So, and it's about the development. But in these books, of course, if you want to sell them, there was this quick idea to create contract, create pact, sign it with your blood, hide it somewhere, and you will get the riches. Yeah. It, of course, church was against it, because it was a rivalry to the official tradition, of course. There are these books created by Heinrich Kramer and Johann Sprengler, called Malleus Maleficarum, and that are really like trying to identify who is a witch and so on, and this whole craziness that everyone is like a witch started, and people were dying. So in these old grimoires, we can find how these contracts were made. Also in these contracts, it was nowhere like that you have to offer a human sacrifice. Yes, this tradition of human sacrifices is practically unknown even in shamanistic traditions. Of course, there were Mayans, or in the Southern America, pre-Columbian age, there were some rituals, but also these rituals have nothing to do with these pact creations. Yeah, so we can find the first copies of pacts around the first one which is like really shown or mentioned in the books, is a case of so-called Telephilius of Adana. It's from the 6th century. He was a monk, and he is something like prototype of Goethe's Faust. Someone who wanted to have a pact not because of riches, but because of wisdom. So this is something that was like considered a first historical pact with the spirits or with the demons. Later on, of course, this Goethe, as a great German writer, was, I think, inspired also by this historical figure, and his Faust, Dr. Faust, and his communication with Mephistopheles is based practically on real occasions. But of course, Telephilius of Adana was a priest, and he was not or monk. He was not someone crazy like we are finding right now. There is later on, of course, we find a lot of other copies of these pacts. Very famous one, I will show it in the video, is a pact by Urbain Grandier from the 1634. It's a pact also of a monk that created a pact with Lucifuge, I think, Rofocale with Lucifer, and I think Belial, but please correct me if it is different. Yes, so all these pacts later on were like services by people that were offering it to people to general audience for money. And unfortunately, we have this tradition even nowadays. If you look into videos of some practitioners, but not only in Western world, also in Africa, also in Asia, in different traditions, in Vodun, in Voodoo, in online sites, everywhere, you will find out like, for some amount of money, I will create a contract for you, I will send you a letter, you will just sign it, and the contract is done. It's the same what was done in the 16th century for common folk. Yeah. This thing does not work that way. I don't say that pacts are not possible, they are. But you have to do it with, you have to offer your willingness to learn. You have to ask for things that are, you can ask for even for big things, but as was case of this Hussein, this Daniel Hussein, he was asking for a win in a lottery. Yeah, so this is very materialistic thing, and he's also limiting the spirits to do very specific things. If you want to have, for example, richness, you will ask about the possibility. So the gates of the possibilities are opened to you. So the synchronicities will start to work. You will ask actively, what should I do so I become successful? You will not like ask like, bring me this on a plate, I want to. All of these old Goetic informations, like that some type of spirit will show you where the treasure is. It's allegorical thing. It's not that you will find the treasure hidden in the wood or under or somewhere. It is that it will teach you how you become successful also materialistically in your life. So these things are much more deeper. I mentioned in my previous video, I think about Dantalion, that there are more deeper ways how to connect with the spirit. So at some point you can even affect your own reality in this world around, and synchronicities can open, but it's not done in this cheap way. And unfortunately, a lot of practitioners are just doing this for money. If someone is offering letters of contracts for money, I'm sorry, this is just it's just a scam. If you want to create something like a real connection, you have to work on it, like on everything, like with everything in the world. Maybe there is an example that really, like, that even with this communication with the spirits, or let's call them devil spirits, demons, not devils, that it can sometimes work, but differently than those people like were expecting. I would choose example from different tradition. It's a tradition of Vodun, and later on voodoo in America, but in Vodun in Haiti. So there was a very famous person, for those that know a little bit about Haitian Revolution, Haitian history, the leader of Haitian slaves and also mulattoes, blacks, a lot of people that were fighting against at that time French colonialism in Haiti. It was 1791. So the leader was called Toussaint Louverture, and he was responsible for upheaval of the slaves at the time. At the time, Haitian colony was full of slaves, and French colonists were like just using them. So this revolution started in 1791, and I think it ended in 1804. The slaves won. They were also able to repel another French invasion, and they declared Republic, Haitian Republic, which is one of the oldest in Western world. At that time, these slaves, they did not have practically didn't understood like military tactics. They haven't had access to weapons, which was practically in the possession of French. But of course, they were in this desperate situation, and Toussaint Louverture, it is said that he also with a lot of voodoo priests was able to rally the slaves through rituals that were through voodoo rituals that they were asking Loa, which is something like spirits in voodoo tradition, to help them, that if they will be fighting French, the bullets will not hit them, that they will be like that they can't be killed. And of course, these rituals, they were believing it, and they started to fight the French. And when the fights started, the battle started, it was a bloodshed. Of course, the bullets were killing slaves, but and I would say those that were fighting against the independence and against the oppression. But of course, the ritual was not working like that, that you will win lottery or the bullet will not kill you. But at the end, it gave them so much strength that they were able to defeat much more armed opponent, and they were able to repel French, and they won at the end. And since then, this Loa, this voodoo culture is really within Haiti. Of course, it has its own political problems currently, but this is how the ritual works. They open these synchronicities, these ways how to get to the result, even that the result the ways to the result are different. So what happened in UK, I would just say, is a tragic thing. It's done by a person that absolutely does not grasp, understands, that has lazy expectations about magic, and it's a psychopath, of course. So for those of us that are interested in real pacts, in something that develops us, I encourage you to study and do not take old medieval grimoires into account, that you will take them like word by word. Yes, these things are mostly allegorical. And of course, for new practitioners, try to connect with the spirits on your own or under supervision of our platforms that we have, and beware the people that just want to use you and take your money. So I hope you liked the video, and thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.